hardwoods, you're probably closing the cottage for the season, even if you use it year-round. There are things that you have to do to protect it over the winter. And Colin and Justin, you have a lot of experience with this. Follow you on Instagram. I see when you do the wintry drives up there, even though you enjoy it, there are things you have to do to keep it going over the winter. There are things we all have to do to like shut the place down. So let's talk about the guttering.
Guttering for us is a real problem.
Yeah.
Now, we spend a lot of time, Tracy, talking to our realtor about the things that we can do to manage our properties over winter. Because if you leave them to fall into disrepair, then those small problems become really big issues. So the same applies for your home in the country as it does in the city or a suburban, whatever.
Yeah.
So guttering is super, super important. You really have to maintain it. It's absolutely critically important. Because if you don't, it'll get wet, you'll be bothered, and before you know, you're in a deluge. So check your guttering and make it fabulous.
The branches! When there's a heavy snowfall, branches can be a problem. What do you do about that?
Super important. So Daddy loves to prune. Honestly, I am at my happiest when I'm out there snipping away. And yeah, when we drive up to the cottage, you know, you're on your own land, you own your own road. So it's super important, you know. And if you get a heavy snowfall, then the trees all droop and they all hang into the road, you know.
Yes.
So I'm out there, I've done this already, and I've gone around the whole line of the road. I've pruned back everything, so there's nothing going to get in the way before it becomes a problem, you know. And I think that's the thing, you know, and I think it applies to cottages. It applies to your home in the city as well. If you're in a condo, someone else looks after it. But if you have a house, it's worth looking now before the winter weather gets here.
Okay. Now, the chimney's going to be in a situation that
Nobody
you
wants
think
a
about.
smoky chimney, Tracy. They do not, under any circumstances. Now, we just had our chimneys swept at our cottage. And it cost us $85, but we reckon the money that we're going to save in fuel bills, because when your chimney's congested, the heat goes the wrong way. If you don't keep your flues open, then the heat is discharged into the basement of our cottage, for example, and there's no point about that. We want to be warm where we need to be cozy, so make sure that you completely and utterly clean your chimney. And also, if you don't, you get all that smoke coming down, and the smoke is going to make your paint go discoloured, and then you got a bill.
And then you got a bill. You'll know right away if you need it to be cleared out, because as soon as you start the fireplace, you're going to be living in smoke.
Exactly, and that's really dangerous for the atmosphere.
It absolutely is. Okay, your electrics, your heating. You need to check on.
You got to check on these things, you know, before they become a problem. And I think that's the thing, you know, prevention is better than actually reacting to something terrible. So we've had our electrician in already, and we've gone round areas where we're worried about. We've checked for cold zones, you know, and you've had that in your home, you know, the little areas that are colder than others. So you can get someone in to actually make sure that everything is ship-shape before we hit those cold climbs. Because you don't want this to happen in February, do you?
No, when the furnace breaks, and it always happens at the beginning of winter in the middle of the season.
And you can't get anybody to come and do it.
Right? So make sure you get it checked before the season really starts. Water pipes in the tank.
Critical. Gentlemen and ladies, make sure your plumbing is in perfect order time. Because if you don't, it'll become congested. You've got to make sure, as well, as the winter approaches and pipes start to freeze, you've got to make sure that you're ahead of all of that. So if all temperatures turn to a really modest degree, even if you're not going to be there, to allay any concerns about plumbing going into a problematic state. And nobody likes a gushy flush. No, they don't.
No one does. There are some probably people in our audience today that live in places where the snow gets to be so much. You actually have to hire people to help you with the snow removal. And that's an important thing to get on the books, you say, because you've got to organize. So you automatically have the number so the people can help you, so you can get in and out of your home. You can get in.
It's worth bearing in mind that if you're in a review place and you don't keep your pathway clear of snow, it can impact on your insurance, because if you've got and an emergency service needs to get through, if you haven't cleared your pathways, then your insurance voided potentially. So check the terms of your all of this sounds frivolous, but it's really important.
Your plough guy out now as well, or girl, or that. You know, we've done some work about our cottage. And I put some money in, and I put path work and some path work. The last thing I want, someone to take a huge and I scrape all that away. So it's worth. So they're staking out their areas. You do not
important. A big block of snow turns to ice, and if that ice falls down, then injury can happen to people, animals, or if it lands on a fence, it'll take down a railing, whatever.
Okay, very good. Great tips. Great tips for
important.
winterizing that we can all use.